It's February 14th. Happy Love Day to all, and it's time for more Black excellence during Black History Month. Let's get it. Today, we're talking about another event, and the subject is the Anti-Amalgamation Law of 1664. If you don't know, you're about to know. What is amalgamation? If you don't know it, it's the process of a minority group and a majority group coming together to form a new group. Here's another thing you're going to need to know here. Miscegenation. That is a marriage or relationship between people of different races. Keep these in mind. All right, for context, interracial couples were actually a fairly common thing amongst white indentured servants and escaped slaves, as well as aristocrats during the colonial era of America. Now, on September 20th, 1664, Maryland enacted the very first anti-amalgamation law in American history with the intent to prevent black men from marrying English women. Following this, many other states soon began to follow, with Virginia being next, and then most of the country enacting these type of laws over the next 75 years. The only states in the country that actually never had these type of laws: Alaska, Hawaii, Minnesota, Wisconsin, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Vermont, and New Hampshire. With these laws in place, that meant interracial marriage, interracial relationship, interracial dealings of any kind like that were banned, except for the states I just previously mentioned. So as time passed on, some states actually began to repeal these laws. By 1887, Maine, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Iowa, Illinois, Kansas, New Mexico, and Washington all repealed their version of these laws. And over the course of the next 100 years prior to 1967, most of the West removed their laws, as well as Indiana. However, there was one section of the country that still had all these laws in place firmly, and it all changed in a Supreme Court case, Loving versus Virginia, in 1967. For the premise, in June of 1958, Richard Loving and his fiancée Mildred Jeter, whom lived in Central Point, Virginia, traveled to Washington, D.C. to avoid Virginia's Racial Integrity Act of 1924, which banned interracial marriage. A month later, on July 11th, Central Point police raided their house in the middle of the night, and Mildred, in the midst of the raid, pointed to their marriage certificate, to which they were told by the police that their marriage was not valid in the state of Virginia. On January 6, 1959, they were both convicted to serve a year in prison, but the conviction would be suspended if they left Virginia and did not return for 25 years. Devastated by the ruling, they took it up to the Supreme Court of Virginia, who upheld the decision, and then following that, they decided to take it up to the U.S. Supreme Court. After a lengthy period of time, in June of 1967, the U.S. Supreme Court unanimously ruled in favor of the Loving, overturned their convictions, and banned all race-based legal restrictions throughout the entire U.S. After this ruling, the last section of the country, the South, that had these laws in place began to remove them. And as you could expect, the last two states to remove these laws and make amendments to their state constitutions were South Carolina in 1998 and the state of Alabama in 2000. As sad as it is to think that this was the mindset of our country at one point in time, it's great to know that the love of a black woman and a white man came together and now has allowed all of us to love whoever we want, no matter the race or the color of their skin. To the Lovings, we thank you and appreciate y'all for fighting for your love and fighting for all of us. Tune in tomorrow, guys, for more Black excellence during Black History Month. Peace.